Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, everyone. I'm Stephanie Bernstein, one of the rabbis here at Temple Road of Shalom. I'm here with my colleague, Cantor Rachel Rhodes, and we're so delighted to welcome so many people back into the sanctuary. This is still new for us, and we're so pleased that you're here. We know we have many, many friends and family members watching on Zoom and watching on our live streaming. So we welcome you all, and we're so delighted to celebrate and welcome Shabbat with all of you, but also on this very special Shabbat where Tobin will be called to the Torah for the first time as a Bar Mitzvah. So just a couple of things before we continue with our service, and I have not been able to make this announcement for 15 months. I'm going to ask you to turn off your cell phones. And I used to kind of dread this part of the announcements, but now I'm happy about it because it means that there actually are people here with us. So I'm going to ask you to put anything that might make noise, to silence it. Also, our live streaming of the service is archived and it's available for you to watch after the service. So we do not permit the taking of any photographs during our service. However, we do encourage both those of you who are here and those of you who are at home to follow along in the service, to join us in song, to join us in responsive readings. Those of you who are here in the sanctuary, your prayer book is either under your seat if you're in the front row or in the back. The thicker book is the Torah commentary, the thinner book is the prayer book, and Cantor Rhodes will tell you how those of you who are watching on the stream, on video, on Zoom can access the prayer book.
So if you're on Zoom, I see that our wonderful Zoom host has put the link to the prayer book into the chat. So please click on that and join with us. And if you're watching on our streaming site, you can find the link to the prayer book just right above where you're watching and click on that. And it's a flip book, so you can join in by typing in any of the number of pages that we announce, and it'll take you right to the prayers. Of course, Rabbi Bernstein and myself, and of course, Tobin will all be leading prayers this morning. So we hope that you'll click and join us in those prayers.
And we know that so many people are here today with very full hearts, certainly because of the wonderful occasion of today, but also I know that many of you have not seen each other for a very long time, so I'm sorry that I had to ask you to sit down and not visit for now, because I know you have so much to catch up on. And we know that of all the people here, Louisa and Gordon's hearts are really, really overflowing with love and with blessing for Tobin, and we wanted to invite them to stand with Tobin so that they can give him their own private blessing.
Continue our service on page 195 with the Baruch Hu, our call to worship. I invite you, if you feel comfortable doing so, please rise.
please join me in the English on page 196. The world is sunlight, restoring the soul, rejoicing the heart, bringing light to the eyes, more welcomed than gold, a Torah from heaven. I have no light to give the morning. My Torah, my special human gift, is words. As I bring my words forth from silence, welcome them, you who redeems the sun from darkness. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer Hamaorot. We continue on page 199 in this responsive reading. O God, inspiration and guide for all, you have spoken in 1,000 tongues for us to hear. In every land and every age, your children have heard you and imagined you in separate ways. And yet, O God, you are one, unifier of humanity. We give thanks for the sages and teachers who bring us understanding of your will. Gratefully, we recall the lawgivers and prophets, the psalmists and sages of Israel, and joyfully we remember that from the dawn of Israel's life, we would turn to you and find purpose. May the teachings of our ancestors live on in our minds and their passion for righteousness stir our hearts. Help us to live so that our daily conduct reveals the beauty and the wisdom of your truth. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael ba'achava, page 200.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. Please join me on page 201 in chanting V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha Hayom levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'v'lechtecha b'derech, u'v'shokbecha u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam leot al yadecha, V'hayula totafot b'neinecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'visharecha, leman tizkaru, v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'item kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti atchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. We continue on page 203. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and in respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. We continue with Michamocha, page 204.
Shir rise.
We continue with the Tefillah on page 205. Please join me as we chant the prayers on the next 3 pages together. Adonai Sephatei Tivta Ufia Gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Velohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Velohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rahel Velohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Ve'hanara El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim Ve'konei Hakol Ve'zoher Hasdei Avot Ve'imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem L'man Shemo Be'ahava Melech Hozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Source of all being, we turn to you, as did our people in ancient days. They beheld you in the heavens, they felt you in their hearts. They sought you in their lives, their quest is ours. Together, help us to see the wonder of being. Give us the courage to search for truth. Teach us the path to a better life. So shall we, by our lives and our labors, bring nearer the world we envision, one of justice, freedom, and peace. We continue together on the next page with the giver wrote. Atah gibor leolam Adonai, mehaye hakol, atah rav lehoshia, morid hatal, mehalkel haim behesed, mehaye hakol berahamim rabim, somech noflim verofei holim, umotir aserim, umekayem emunato, rishenei afar, micha mocha ba'al givurot, umidomelach, melech memi, umehaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lehahayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mehaye hakol. We continue with the Kiddushah on page 208.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב היה נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו, אדוני, אדוננו, מדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו שבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Page 210. To all generations we will make known your greatness, and to all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Those who keep Shabbat by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. The people that hallow Shabbat will delight in your goodness. For being pleased with the seventh day, you hallowed it as the most precious of days, drawing our attention to the work of creation. Please join me in singing the Kodshenu. Eloheinu, v'Elohei Avotenu, v'Imotenu, v'Tzei, v'Imnu Hatenu, Kadeshenu b'mitzvoteha, v'Tein helkenu b'torateha, Sab'enu mituveha, v'samhenu b'shuateha, v'taher libenu, le'ovdeha be'emet, v'hanhilenu, Adonai Eloheinu, ve'ahava u'ratzon, Shabbat Kodsheha, Vayanuhu Vayisrael, Mekadeshei Shemecha, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
We continue on page 212. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu ba'amcha Yisrael. On this Shabbat day, as you graciously receive our prayers, help us to hear your call. Grant us enough health to fulfill our duties and the compassion we need to attend to others. Teach us humility that we may perceive our own faults, and grant us the wisdom to be forgiving of others. Give us the courage to be true to our highest selves and the charity to see the best in those around us. Give us patience enough not to become discouraged, hope enough to overcome all fears for the future, and faith enough to know your presence. O source of blessing, look with favor upon us. May our offerings be acceptable to you. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otacha levatacha b'yirah na'avod. We praise you, Adonai, whom alone we serve in reverence. We continue on page 214 with a beautiful poetic reimagining of the prayer, Modim Anachnu Lach, which thanks God from the bottom of our hearts, from the depths of our souls, for all the many wonderful things that God has given us. And I know on this day we are so grateful to be here together, especially those family members who've not seen each other for such a long time. Our hearts are really filled with gratitude. So this is a responsive reading, and the refrain is Modim Anachnu Lach. We could not possibly thank you enough. Page 214. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations, Modim Anachnu Lach. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons, Modim Anachnu Lach. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements, Modim Anachnu Lach. For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression, Modim Anachnu Lach. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared, Modim Anachnu Lach. for all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and in freedom. Modim anachnu lach. For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose. Modim anachnu lach. We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulcha na'eh lahodot. We continue with our prayer for peace, Sim Shalom, which you will find on page 216.
Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amecha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. We continue now with a private moment of prayer and meditation. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's so wonderful to be gathered together, all of you here in the sanctuary, those of you on Zoom and on our streaming site to celebrate Tobin and all that he has done to get to this wonderful moment in his life and the life of his family. You've already led us so beautifully, Tobin, in worship this morning. That was wonderful. Congratulations. Well done. And pretty soon will be the pinnacle moment in the service during which your status will officially change to be a Bar Mitzvah as you are called up, as Tobin is called up for the very first time to read from the Torah by his Hebrew name and to share with us his own teachings on the Torah portion for this Shabbat. It's really wonderful to see our young people take on this mantle of leadership, but we know, Tobin, you couldn't have gotten here without a lot of love and help from your family, right? Of course, from your parents, from your siblings, and also from your grandparents. And it's such an honor for me to wish Mazel Tov to all the grandparents who are both here and watching us on our streaming site. So to Samuel and Evelyn Wilson, a Mazel Tov to you. And to Miriam DeFreitas and Elan Lanai, who are here with us over Zoom, Mazel Tov, congratulations to you as well. We continue with our Torah service. I invite you all to please rise if you feel comfortable doing so as we take the Torahs out of the ark. I'd like to invite up Samuel and Evelyn to join us here on the bima as we pass down the Torah through the generations into Tobin's arms.
Tobin, as you receive this Torah, remember its teachings, its wisdom, and its history. Let it guide you this day and all days. As you embrace it, so may you embrace what it has meant for the Jewish people over the generations. Judaism is history and hope, learning and laughter. We pray that the story of the Jewish people continues brightly with you as you grow as a person and as a Jew. May you embrace the Torah your whole life.
We join together in the words of Shema. Please be seated.
Let's pull up the whole thing before you stand. Okay. Sit out all the way. There we go.
The Torah portion for this Shabbat that I'll be reading is called Korach. It comes from the book of Numbers, and my Hebrew reading begins with chapter 16, verse 1. In this portion, Korach, Dathan, and Abiram rebel against the leadership of Moses and Aaron. This is the most serious rebellion Moses and Aaron faced during their 40 years of wandering in the desert.
For Tobin's reading this afternoon, it's an honor to call up his grandparents, Samuel and Evelyn Wilson, for the first Aliyah. Yamod l'Aliyah Torah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher b'habonu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayikra Korach ben Yitzhar ben Kehat ben Levi Vedatan ve'Aviram b'nei Eliav ve'on ben Feleh b'nei Reuven vayakumu lifnei Moshe ve'anashim mivnei Yisrael hamishim umatayim nesi'ei edah kri'ei moed anashei Shem vayikahalu al Moshe ve'al Aharon vayomeru alehem rav lahem ki hol ha'edah kulam kidoshim uvtachtam Adonai umadua titnaseu al kehal Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'ayeh olam netav b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Shukach, mazel tov to you, Sam and Evelyn. It's an honor for the second Aliyah for Tobin's reading to call up his aunt, Jenny Krasner, and his brother, Simon Wilson. Yamdu l'Aliyah Torah.
You can take your mask off if you want. Somebody do take your mask off. Whenever you're ready.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher b'char banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayishma Moshe vayipol al panav vaydaver el Korah ve'el kol adato le'mor boker vayda Adonai et asher lo ve'et hakadosh ve'hakriv elav ve'et asher yivhar bo yakrev elav zut asu kehu lachem machtot Korach ve'hol adato utnu vahen eish v'simu alehen ketoret lifnei Adonai mahar v'haya ha'esh asher yivhar Adonai hu hakadosh vav lahem b'nei liv.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam natan b'tohenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Shabbat, Janine Simon, beautiful job. For the third Aliyah Tobin, it's such an honor to call you up as Bar Mitzvah by your Hebrew name. Yamod, 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 Habachor Habar Mitzvah, Moshe Netziach ben Gershom v'Alitza la'Aliyah Torah Chazak.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvurah.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvurah le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayomer Moshe el Korah Shimuna b'nei Levi Hamad mikem ki hivdil Elohei Yisrael etehem me'adat Yisrael lehakriv ethem elav la'avod et avodat Mishkan Adonai ולעמוד לפני העדה לשרתם, ויקרב אותה ואת כל ההר בני לוי איתך, וביקשתם גם כהונה להן, אתה וכל עדתך הנועדים על אדוני, ואהרון מהו כי עלינו עליו. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נתן בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני noten haTorah.
Amen. Yeshar Koach, Tobin, beautiful job reading from the Torah. Fabulous work.
take that back.
It's an honor to call up your cousins Abby and Micah to help us dress the Torah
go
this
sit down, you two.
afternoon.
Back.
We continue on page 252 as we dress the Torah. I invite you to please rise. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe. Yada lai 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 lai, yada lai 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 lai, yada lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yada lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. We remain standing as we return the Torah to the Ark and sing together Eitz Chaim Ki.
I have to say that we're just kind of reorganizing in terms of where everybody stands and sits, since this is all new to us now. So before COVID, yes, Tobin, you would have stood over here, but you are over there. And first of all, you've done an incredible job in leading us in worship and chanting Torah. And I know that everyone is looking forward to having you teach us from your Torah portion. So, Tobin.
Shabbat Shalom. Today Today is a significant day for me, as it is the culmination of my 2 years of effort to learn Hebrew and the Torah. I would like to share what my Torah portion means to me and how it connects to my life and society. Let me start by acknowledging that I do take issue with the apparent teaching of my Torah portion. As you know, it was picked by the calendar rather than me. The basic story involves a confrontation between Korach and Moses. In short, Korach and his followers are unhappy with the way he and the family of Kehat are being treated. Unlike Moses and Aaron, the Kehat family is not permitted to go inside the Mishkan, the portable temple, and see the holy vessels. They are told they will die if they do so. At the same time, the family of Kehat and others in the tribe of Levi are treated as lower-class members of the tribe. They are assigned the duty of transporting the Mishkan and are treated as servants in carrying out these duties. In what the Torah describes as a rebellion, Korach, the leader of a group of 250 members from the tribe of Levi, confronts Moses. Korach complains about this power structure and suggests that Moses, Aaron, and the Kohanim are mistreating the people and have too much power. The portion ends with Moses telling Korach that the issues which he is complaining about were created by God and not him, that he should prepare for judgment by God the next day. On the next day, Korach and all his followers are killed by God when the earth swallows them. The theme of this portion involves not questioning authority and hierarchy in society. Those who know me well will not be surprised to hear me say that I find this a bit of a problem. Although rebellion is considered a sin in the Torah, Korach and his resistance never began what we would consider a rebellion. It was a completely peaceful assembly that did not threaten or do any damage to others in the tribe. He brought up complaints that could have easily been addressed by God. However, instead of being a lesson on how to resolve conflicts between two classes, the story seems focused on scaring us into never questioning authority. As Americans, we look at countries such as North Korea and China that prosecute people who question their government as oppressive, totalitarian states. If societies were to follow the teachings in this story, the majority of countries would likely be run like China and North Korea. As Reformed Jews, we value the ability to discuss interpretations and stories of the Torah. There are stories and lessons in the Torah that we do not follow today. Our approach to gender roles as compared to what we see in the Torah is an example of this. Similarly, questioning authority is one of the most essential parts of our history. The American Revolution would not have happened if people were unwilling to question the overreach of authority by the British Empire. This story seems to be against the same type of progress that was able to bring us a representative democracy. Just as these advances in history came from questioning authority, we have to keep doing this in order to progress as a society in the future. A part of challenging the status quo in our society would have to be questioning inequality in America. Why is it that we have people who have billions and billions of dollars while still having poverty-stricken working Americans? We have roughly 22 million Americans who have a job yet are still living in poverty. We have the resources to help these people, as well as to help the jobless in America learn marketable skills. Unfortunately, as our economic and political systems are influenced by wealth, we are not helping to address these problems. I believe that this is in part due to periods in our history, such as the Red Scare, where any sort of positive change for the poor or questioning the ultra-wealthy was considered communism. We are also facing a climate crisis, and any sort of meaningful policy changes to address the matter are considered too radical by politicians. According to many scientists, we have about 6 years before we reach a tipping point. Too many of our policies say that we will reach our goals by 2030 or 2040, which will be much too late. Companies such as Coca-Cola always say that they plan to use renewable plastics year after year. Yet, for the 3rd year in a row, they have been named the #1 plastic polluter. In fact, oil and natural gas producers expect plastic manufacturing to account for 45 to 95% of the global growth in demand for oil and natural gas. Working hand in hand with big oil, These companies keep fracking legal and greenwash their image using propaganda tactics. Our current system allows corporations to get away with destroying the earth while facing no repercussions from politicians who accept campaign contributions from these same corporations. I, like many other people in this synagogue, am a person who enjoys the outdoors. I spend a lot of my time this summer biking in the mountains, and I enjoy skiing in natural territory during the winter. I have witnessed the summer wildfires and diminishing winter snowpack in Colorado. For my Bar Mitzvah project, I have been helping to maintain our bike trails and walking trails in Northern Virginia by participating in trail work days run by an organization known as the Mid-Atlantic Off-Road Enthusiasts. Helping people enjoy the outdoors, I found, is a great way for them to also appreciate nature and conservation efforts. My Bar Mitzvah project, admittedly, will do little to change the world, but ensuring that I am at least doing my part is the right place to start. And I look forward to becoming a strong advocate for the environment who can convince others to pressure our politicians to save the earth. In order to make progress in a timely manner, we need more korachs in America. Our electoral system is influenced by wealth in a way that gives rich individuals and large corporations more of a voice than the average person. This is inconsistent with the core tenets of democracy that we have always treated as fundamental to the United States. We need to keep questioning ourselves, and in that regard, I view myself more like Korach in this story than Moses. I trust that God will look at me favorably in this regard. I would like to thank everyone who was able to come here today, particularly those who came from out of town at this early stage of emergence from the COVID-19 pandemic. I would also like to thank my amazing Hebrew teacher, Mrs. Heller, for helping me thoroughly prepare for today, and I would like to thank the clergy for all their support over the years and helping to arrange this service. I would also like to thank my friends and relatives who are here and on Zoom supporting me on this important day. Finally, I want to thank my mom and dad for helping me to reach this day. They have always helped me to mature and learn in order to better evaluate my day-to-day decisions. Last but not least, I would like to thank my brother, Simon, for setting a high standard of behavior and values for me to emulate or exceed. Thank you all for being here with me. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Wow, Tobin, take some more water. Yeah. That was wonderful, and I don't know what I could possibly add to that, but I'm going to try. So you did an amazing job, as Cantor Rhodes said before, of leading us in worship, of chanting Torah. You were so ready for today, and I loved what you taught us, that we need more Korachs in our world, not just in the United States. And you said, quite rightly, that our heritage, our tradition, has not really put a positive spin on Korach. And I'm so glad that you did, because questioning authority, and as you put it, questioning prevailing wisdom, is essential so that we can address the inequities that you outlined so beautifully in our society and in our world, and so that we can work for change. And I did want to point out that our tradition is sort of does both things in this regard. You may recall that Abraham actually argues with God and stands up to God to argue with God about not killing everyone in Sodom and Gomorrah. So we do have this tradition in Judaism of, they're called Kriegen mit God, arguing with God. So if we can argue with God, we can argue with other people, right? With people that are actually human beings. But in the spirit of what you said, I wanted to disagree with you, if that's okay, on one point, with your permission. When you were talking about your Bar Mitzvah project, about maintaining the bike trails and the walking trails through this wonderful organization, you said that your Bar Mitzvah project admittedly will do little to change the world, but ensuring that I am at least doing my part is the right place to start. So I'm going to disagree with you about not changing the world, because I think you are changing the world, and I'm going to try to prove how you are by clearing the trails. So bear with me here. So you might have heard about a wonderful part of our tradition, which is a tractate of the Mishnah called Pirkei Avot, or Ethics of the Fathers. And I wanted to share with you from Pirkei Avot teaching that you may have heard of, and I'll remind you of it. Rabbi Tarfon used to say, It is not incumbent upon you to complete the work, yet you are not free to desist from it. So I think it's easy to be overwhelmed by the enormity of everything that must be done, as you so beautifully outlined, and what we must address in order to accomplish that. But I think this teaching in our tradition is trying to tell us that we don't have to finish these tasks that are overwhelming, and we can't be excused from tackling them. And also that maybe smaller steps, hence clearing the trail, are just as valuable as the bigger ones. There's a story that there was a king who had a big cistern for storing water. It was very deep, and he hired workers to fill it. And one of the workers, seeing how deep this was, because of course they didn't have hoses, they probably were schlepping buckets, whatever, said, when are we ever going to complete this? How are we ever going to fill up this cistern? And another worker said, you know what? This is one day, and I'm so pleased to have found this work and to be able to help to fill the cistern. And the story goes on to say that the Torah may be compared to water. Just as water falls drop by drop until it forms a stream, so is the Torah. A person learns or acts on Torah, adding each and every day. And we don't need to do the work alone. I think that we need both the Korachs in the world and the people who fill the cisterns, who fill the wells. Those who advocate, who speak up, who lead movements for social change, who fight for legislation and changes, and those who fill the wells and those who clear the trails. So I respectfully disagree with you, Tobin. I think you are changing the world one trail workday at a time. You are living your commitment to the environment, and you're encouraging others to do the same. You're shining a light on this issue, which is so important about this world that we share, that we are commanded to take care of in the Torah. And you are so passionate about what needs to be changed in our world. That is truly a blessing. And today you have blessed all of us who are here with you, who are watching, with your leading us so beautifully in worship, with your chanting of Torah, with your teaching us. You certainly are a blessing to your family, to your parents, and all the family members, to our Rodef Shalom community, and to the Jewish people. And as you have blessed us today, Cantor Rhodes and I now have the privilege of giving you our blessing, and we'd like to invite you and your mom and dad to join us here along with Simon, and we'd like to invite everyone to rise. Tobin, may God always bless you and watch over you. May God's light shine on you and always be gracious to you. Tobin, as you work to make this world a better and more holy place, may you always have a sense of God's nearness, God's holiness, and God's presence.
Taking your place in an enduring line. This is the day that you stood up to say our tradition is mine. You have now held the Torah, forged a link to the past. It's our law and our story, and each telling is new. voice of a people, a blessing and a prayer.
We ask that you remain standing as we continue with our concluding prayers, beginning with the Aleinu on page 282. Thank you very much.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומשל יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגופי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. On this wonderful day, of course, our thoughts turn to all those who are not able to be with us today because they are no longer living. Those family members, those friends who have helped to shape the people that we are. And today in particular, we think of Tobin's grandfather, Jose Hamilton Torasan. And as we think of all of our loved ones who are no longer living, we turn to page 294. We rise for the mourner's Kaddish, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirhute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agola v'zman kori v'imru. Amen. Yehe Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalel Shemei dekudesha brichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehe Shalomo Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Zichronam levracha, may the memories of all of our loved ones always be for blessing. Amen. Please be seated.
So, Tobin, we're so honored to present you with some gifts that we hope will remind you of this day as you continue to use them. The first is a certificate that Rabbi Bernstein, myself, and a board member have signed that commemorate this moment. We hope you hang it proudly in your home. You'll also receive from the Women of TR our Reform Movement's Home Prayer Book on the doorposts of your house. And you'll also receive a few gift certificates. One is from the North American Federation of Temple Youth to use towards travel in Israel in your high school years. And one is a gift certificate from our youth committee to attend a Tristy event. And one is a travel mug from Tristy, also very useful. And finally, you'll receive a Kiddush cup from the clergy. We hope you use it for Shabbat and other holidays, and it reminds you of this beautiful moment of sweetness. Mazel tov to you, Tobin. Really proud of you. We conclude our service. One quick announcement before we do that. If you're with us on Zoom and you'd like to stay for a few minutes after the service, Tobin and his family will greet you. Just give them a few minutes to get to the other room to connect with you there. We conclude on page 322 with a closing song and benediction. En Eloheinu, en Kadoshenu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Adonai oz la'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et hamo v'shalom. May God give strength to us and bless us all with peace. Amen and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.